Yo, what's going on everyone? This is Valoramous, and in today's DJ tutorial on the DDJ-FLX10, I'm going to provide a demonstration how to actually connect the various cables of the DDJ-FLX10 to your laptop. So, as this is only the second tutorial that I've produced on the DDJ-FLX10, it represents a pivot of my channel to a system that's relatively new, released in 2023, and it's also the successor to the DDJ-1000. I'm going to provide you an overview of the various cables before we actually start connecting the cables. So what you have organic to this system is, of course, a power cable. And the power cable will come in two parts. You'll have the power cable, which connects to the power source, and then you'll have the power adapter pack, which will then connect to the system. Connected together, right here in the back, this will be one general cable, which will then connect to your DDJ-FLX10 hardware itself. And as you look at the system bird's eye view, you will see a power symbol which denotes the power button. And then right to the left of that power button is where the DCN text is displayed, and that's where you're going to connect this cable. So now you have power connected, and of course this is connected to a power source. Next, you have the USB-C to USB-C cable. This is different from the DDJ-1000, which had a USB-A or 2.0 or USB 3.0 to a USB-B, which is like that old school kind of square-shaped printer style USB. And with these USB-Cs, it's a smaller cable, and this is going to go into the USB line that you set on your top of the tracks of your mixer. So I have all these tracks set to USB-A. So this will you will insert the cable to USB-A, and then you're going to insert this into your laptop. Okay, so now we've connected two cables to the DDJ-FLX10. Next, you're going to have some optional cables. However, most folks will probably have these cables to connect. So you're gonna have your headphones, you have two ports in the back, you have the 1/4 inch and you have the 1/8 inch, or it's 3.5 millimeters or 6.35 millimeters. I like the larger connection, which is gonna be the 1/4 inch, and this will connect right in line with the DDJ-FLX10 text that is displayed bird's eye view on top of the DDJ-FLX10 hardware itself. So now we have the headphones connected. That's pretty standard, self-explanatory. Next, we have the microphone input. Now again, just like the power button, you have the microphone input displayed on the top, and you're going to connect your microphone. Now, I'm using XLR cables, so this will go right here, microphone input 1. You also have a 1/4 inch or 6.35 millimeter input for microphone 2, that's the microphone 2 input. And then on top of the DDJ-FLX10, you have microphone levels for 1 and 2. I will turn 2 down, that way I know that I have microphone 1 activated. So here is the microphone cable, and then we're gonna put this microphone to the side. So that's 4 cables we've connected now. Now, I know I said there were 2 mandatory cables and 2 optional. Really, you have 4 mandatory and 5 total. The only optional one is the microphone. Of course, you don't have to talk on the microphone. You don't even need the headphones, so you could say there's 3 mandatory, 2 optional. But the 5th one is going to be your audio out. So your audio out is going to go on the back right here. So you have XLR inputs, and then you have the RCA inputs. So I'm gonna plug this into RCA because that's the cable that I have currently. And this will be right and left speaker inputs, and it's color coordinated, red and silver. And then this will connect to your speaker source. So I have a speaker on the ground. I'm gonna turn that on. So now the speaker is on. So now that you have all the cables set, we haven't actually turned on the system, and we haven't actually turned on the Rekordbox DJ software, or Serato DJ if you're using Serato. So this DDJ-FLX10 is compatible with both Rekordbox and Serato, and you'll know that because you actually see the Serato and Rekordbox branded text on the back portion here. And I will bring the camera around to kind of show you some of the stuff that I was discussing here, but you have Serato Rekordbox text here, and that lets you know that it's compatible with both systems. Now I'll be using Rekordbox for this demonstration. So next we are now going to turn on the system, and the lights are lighting right now, and it'll take just a second. And now we're going to open our Rekordbox software. And so all I'm going to do here is just bring us to the first test, the first audio test. So I'm getting my tracks ready. We're gonna open up Rekordbox DJ software, and we're going to test this. Okay, before you can load a track and actually utilize the buttons on the DDJ-FLX10, which will respond or react and correspond with your Rekordbox or Serato DJ software, you will need to download, most likely, the drivers and or firmware from the company website. So from Serato or PioneerDJ.com. So this is PioneerDJ.com's website. I went to the software information on DDJ-FLX10, and you're going to go to this drivers, and this is for Mac and Windows. You will need the audio drivers and then possibly a firmware update. So the firmware will update every so often. You will see the date right here, and that will let you know, but you also have the version right here as well too. So first we'll download the drivers. Some drivers. And we have Windows and Mac. So I have a Mac, so we're gonna go here. This setting utility will allow you to connect your DDJ to a computer. So you'll download this, but then unzip the downloaded file. This file will appear like this, and then you're gonna run that. So let's go down here, and this is the download link, 2.15 megabytes, so not a huge file. And you can see it was released March of 2023. So you have one audio driver to download. That'll be the first action you will take. Now, we will install this first, and then we can test run it. We may need to update the firmware as well, because there was a firmware update in summer of 2025. So let's go to this, and we're gonna run this. Okay, so now it's installed successfully. So we'll close that, and then we'll delete this. Now, to be safe, we're gonna go back to the firmware update. So firmware update right here, and we're gonna install this firmware update for, actually, excuse me, it's for Mac. So Mac, again, PioneerDJ.com website. You can Google this. Very easy to find. And this was 31 July 2025. So download link, version 1.14. So you always want to check that version number. And a lot of times this version number will display on the screen on the Pioneer DJ equipment hardware itself. Okay, so now we're gonna install the firmware as well. Okay, so now I have clicked on the DDJ-FLX10 firmware, and you can see the current version is version 1.13, and we're going to version 1.14. So this is what you're going to do when you update your firmware on the DDJ-FLX10. And again, to find this file, you're gonna go to, you can Google Pioneer DJ, DDJ-FLX10 driver download. You're gonna go here, click on the website, and then select whichever system you're using. I'm using Rekordbox. You're gonna go to firmware update, and then you're gonna go to firmware update again, and then you're checking either Mac or Windows. I have Mac, so you go here, version 1.14, you're gonna scroll all the way down and then click that download link. So that's what you're gonna do to find this file. And then once you have this file, you're just gonna install it and run it. So now we're gonna run the file. So start, and And what happened is my DDJ-FLX10 turned off momentarily, so I'm gonna show you that. Okay, so what you see there is you see as the firmware installed, it was off and then the lights lit up and now you can see it's loading right here. You see the loading icon, but this is what it's gonna look like when you update the firmware. So now it's updated. So on my computer now it says the update of your version of the DDJ-FLX10 firmware is now complete. You hit OK, and now you have an up-to-date firmware, and you have this installed with Rekordbox DJ software. So now what you can do is you can of course eject and then delete the firmware icon, but you can open up Rekordbox and then you're gonna load a track, and then we're gonna test one of these tracks with track 1, and if we hear the audio, that's how we know we are good to go. So we're gonna play one of my latest tracks. Now you may need to go to the settings icon and you will have to click on the DDJ-FLX10 as your output source. So let me show you that real quick. Okay, so to properly route the audio from the DDJ-FLX10 to your speaker, you may need to go to this wheel icon, which is the settings button or preferences. Then from here, you're gonna click on audio. Then audio, you're gonna check or select DDJ-FLX10. Now, if you do not successfully install both the audio driver and then update the firmware, you will not have this text displayed within your preferences. But if you successfully installed both of those files from the pioneerdj.com website, then you will have DDJ-FLX10 on the audio. And this will allow you to route the audio from the DDJ-FLX10 hardware to your speaker, and then you'll have audio playing out for the audience. So that's what this will look like here. Okay, so the DDJ-FLX10 is compatible only with Rekordbox version 6.0 or higher. So I'm going to download version 7.2.8. I previously had Rekordbox version 7 on my Mac, but I deleted it to free up space because the DDJ-1000 was compatible with Rekordbox version 5.0. So we are going to complete this free download. Okay, so due to operating system incompatibility with Rekordbox version 7.0, I'm downloading the older version 6.0, but you will likely download version 7.0 or later, because if you watch this video in the future, there could be a version 8.0 of Rekordbox. But just download the latest version that you can, but minimum is 6.0 to operate the DDJ-FLX10 with your computer or laptop or MacBook. So that is the download of Rekordbox. And as you can see here, this is what it looks like when you first open up Rekordbox after it's freshly downloaded. It may ask you to install additional features. I will do that later. But this is version 6.8. So now we're gonna play an actual track and we're gonna test the DDJ-FLX10, and you can see the stem separation features up here: drums, vocals, instrumental. But let's load a track. All right, we are in business. I just loaded a track. We're gonna do tempo reset, and now let's test. It works. So we are in business now on the DDJ-FLX10. So that took me a little bit to get the system up and running. There was a lot to download. You had to download the audio driver, I had to download the firmware, then I had to download Rekordbox, I had to download the proper version of Rekordbox because DDJ-FLX10 is only compatible with version 6.0 of Rekordbox or higher, and then make sure I had the audio routed from the DDJ-FLX10 in my Rekordbox DJ software to the speaker. So there is some confusion here. If you have any questions, just leave those in the comments below. But I am now up and running on the DDJ-FLX10. And in the future, you will see more videos from me on this system on how to operate all the buttonology, all of the buttons that you see, the features you see in front of you, including the beat effects, the pad effects, the sound color effects, and also the stem separation, which is of course new. I also like that when you set the beat effects to a certain channel, it highlights in blue which channel you've set that to. So when you have master set, it's set to all of them. When you just have one channel set, like 2, it just highlights blue right there too. So I already like this system a bit better because it has evolved, not a revolution, but it's an evolution that is an incremental improvement from the DDJ-FLX10. And let's test to ensure that the other channel works. Yep. So the other channel works as well too. So we are now in business with the DDJ-FLX10. So there you have it. That is how you connect the DDJ-FLX10 to Rekordbox version 6.0 or higher. If you have any other comments, questions, tips, tricks, or concerns on how to establish this overall system, please leave those in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next video.
3, 2, 1, lose it.